All right, welcome back to Impact 2022. We are at week 4 for January and we are on the road to No Surrender. Few notes I want to start on before starting. More apologies than anything. I know like I mentioned being sick in the last show and then um there was a week buffer in between recording and finally editing. So, I'd like to not be that slow with the output, but apologize for that. Also, as you can see, this is results from last week. I don't know if anyone noticed, but I accidentally booked Caleb with a K to go over Nick Stapp in his debut instead of the other way around. Um, if anyone noticed that, congratulations, because I didn't. But yeah, um, kind of also want to apologize for I guess the abrupt ending of last week's show. I don't know, um, if it was just me being under the weather or whatever, but I actually I think I'm going to do that from now on instead of waiting to the next day and seeing what the TV rating is because that's kind of inconsequential. I just got stories. I don't really focus on the business end of things unless it's super important or has to deal with signings or whatever. Um, so yeah, I might do that going forward. Just end the show when Impact ends. Um, Plus that means less time for editing, which I don't do much of anyway. So, yeah. Um, like I mentioned, last week was kind of a disappointment, not just from my standpoint, but from the broadcaster standpoint. Apparently, we were required to deliver a show with a minimum quality of 30, and we delivered a 29. So, like you can see here. So hopefully we deliver with this week's. We don't have a lot of news this week. Here's where I go into my um notepad. Like I said, last week's impact left broadcasters unhappy. They require a 30 rating, and we gave them a 29. Um, Rhino did accept his contract extension, and I did accidentally enact an ironclad clause. So hopefully that doesn't come back to bite us in the ass. But even if we don't use him regularly, he is a road agent, so hopefully that'll work out well for us. We have some new champions on our roster. Um, Jonah defeated Tom Lawler for the New Japan Strong Openweight title. I actually did debate with bringing in Tom Lawler. I still might, but not as champion because Jonah now has that belt. And then Josh Alexander defeated Travis Williams for the NEW title, which I believe is a promotion up in Canada. So good for them. Um, got news that Chelsea Green changed her wrestling style to regular from entertainer. Don't know exactly what that means, but apparently she is taking her wrestling a bit more seriously. Um, don't know if this is even worth mentioning, but there was a Twitter fight between Alberto El Patron and Danny Daniels. Like I said, this is a slow news week. We do believe that there is a war brewing between WWE and AEW because it looks like they've kind of reneged on all of their agreements between each other, especially like their no stealing of talent agreements. So we'll see what comes of that. AEW did extend their deal with Malachi Black, so he is there even longer. I think it's still a handshake deal, maybe, but maybe an exclusive handshake deal, but he is will remain there. Retirements announced: Jimmy Hart and Kimonito. So I guess in 3 months they'll be gone. Unfortunately, Frankie Kazarian and Tracy Brooks are divorcing. And just for the hell of it, I'm going to post the results of the last big event from Shine just because I thought the main event was interesting because of the possibility of maybe the worst stable ever formed. I don't know if there's an actual stable, but the team that won the main event, yeah, it's not exactly one I would pay to watch. All right, so that's pretty much it. And let's just go into this week's Impact. All right. We start the show with a spectacular entrance by the Inspiration. I don't have her listed, but basically Tennille is there as well. Um, Lack of anything interesting happening in the segment was a problem. Segment rating 24, I kind of wanted this to start the show off hot, pun not intended. But basically to lead into their tag team title defense. The Inspiration defends against DK successfully when Tennille Dashwood interferes and basically leads to a distraction, causing Cassie Lee to pin Havoc. Um, Segment rating of 35, which is pretty decent from what we've been getting so far overall. Basically, the story here is that DK is somewhat dissolving. There was tension between Havoc and Rosemary last week, and after this match, there is even more tension. Um, they are basically um, blaming each other for the loss until, like I don't have them here, but Crazy Steve and Black Taurus are able to, you know, calm them both down and cooler heads will prevail. Segment rate of 28. I did have Rosemary um, going off script here just because this is more of like an arguing segment. So, but while that is happening, we see the argument being played on a television somewhere in a dark, smoky room and evil maniacal laughter. We see, much like last week, James Mitchell is in a chair watching the segment, watching Rosemary and Havoc um, seemingly fall apart and enjoying. But also, Swingers Palace are there in a conference room sitting around a table, and they're just kind of like, all right, what's going on? And Mitchell is like, my plans are starting to come together. Um, he turns to Swinger and he's like, this is where you guys come in. I know you want uh Swingers Palace to be up and running again, but I will help you do that, and you've got to do something for me. You see, there have been too many wayward souls roaming around Impact lately. For starters, I started taking care of the Sue Young situation, and immediately Johnny Swinger interrupts, like, "Whoa, does that mean you got Sue Young pregnant?" It's like, "No, I didn't get Sue Young pregnant." And everyone in Swingers Palace is like, "I don't know. From what it sounds like you got her pregnant." And he's just like, "I didn't get her pregnant." Anyway, moving along. I took care of Sue Young. She's gone. Now I need you guys to take care of Decay. If you guys take care of Decay, I will help you get Swingers Palace up and running. If you take care of them, I'll own 51%, be majority state shareholder of Swingers Palace, but you guys get the remaining shares and can run the place however you want. You fail to take out Decay, and I own 100% of Swingers Palace, including you, your bodies, and your souls, to do with what I wish. And the guys from Swingers Palace kind of look at each other and they're just like, oh, I don't know, can we do this? How do we do this? And they're just kind of left in confusion as we get a to be continued next week message. Segment rating of 26. Johnny Bravo's getting better at his gimmick. Color commentary gave the segment a boost, so um, better ratings than we've been getting. Meanwhile, we are with the learning tree of Brian Myers. Brian Myers is hanging out with VSK and Nick Stapp, CPA, who earned a spot in the learning tree last week. And Brian Myers is like, I'm impressed. I fully expected you to lose and just go off doing taxes in a Walmart somewhere. But, you won, under dubious means, but whatever got the job done. So, congratulations. But, VSK, while you were getting your own protege for me, I fully expected him to lose. So I went out and got one of my own anyway. And in comes a strapping young lad, uh, strong jawed, silent. Uh, VSK is kind of like, who's this dude? Pulls out a business card, gives it to CPA, and Nick Stapp says, a very good professional wrestler? And VSK is looking over his shoulders like, no, Avery Good, professional wrestler. And CPA is like, hey, I do taxes. I'm not a English teacher. I expected me to read good. So they kind of get in the argument, and Brian's like, enough. We got me, the most professional wrestler, and we got, as you put it, a very good professional wrestler. I don't have to teach him fundamentals. He's got it all down pat. But under my learning tree, he's gonna go straight to the top and he's gonna show you guys how to do it right now. So he shows Avery Good out to the ring. Matches coming up next. Segment rating of 20. Avery Good has his traditional gimmick, which is great, and announcing and color commentary are getting a boost. So better segments than what we've been getting with this undercard. And we got Avery Good defeating John Schuyler. Basically a showcase to show what Avery Good can do to with the in front of the Impact crowd. Segment rating of 21. Brought down by the road agent, but whatever. Backstage, we have Kimberly kind of walking around backstage. We haven't seen her in a while, and we really haven't seen her then since the Sue Young uh, deal, for a while. And Kimberly is looking, pretty much back to normal. She's not in undead bride gear or anything. And she runs into Brandy Lauren, who is also looking back to normal and also not in undead gear. And Kimber's like, oh, Brandy, I'm so glad you're here. I need to talk to you. And Brandy's like, oh, hey, who are you again? And Kimber's like, Kimberly. And Brandy's like, oh, it's nice to meet you, Kimber. And she's like, uh, do you remember anything from like the last few months? And Brandy's like, no, I just got here. And she's like, Kimber's just like, are you sure? Like, I know my memory's been fuzzy lately, but I've been able to piece stuff together. We've been kind of under the mind control of Sue Young, but now that she's gone, we've been freed. And Brandy's like, I don't know what you're talking about, and she kind of just blows her off and, you know, kind of leaves that segment hanging. Segment rating of 20. Kind of decided to bring them back. Kind of a hanging plot thread right now. I have possible plans for them. Um, but kind of like the Bullet Club USA situation where I kind of left them hanging. I can kind of leave them hanging and come back to them later, but we'll see what happens with them. X Division champion Trey Miguel and Chris Sabin defeat Ace Austin and Madman Fulton when Sabin pins Austin. Sabin carried the match. Um, like I said, Sabin pins Austin, and Austin's frustrated because again, he seems to be building up a losing streak, and also defeated once again by Chris Sabin. Sabin kind of looks at Miguel and kind of motions around his waist. He's like, I got the pin. I can still go. I can still hang, and I'm more than a capable contender to your title. And they just, they don't really announce a match yet, but we're kind of on the way there. Segment rating of 33. Backstage, we go to Quinn McKay, who is interviewing Speedball Mike Bailey. She's like, she congratulates Mike on his recent streak. So far, he is undefeated since coming to Impact at Hard to Kill. And she kind of asks him how it feels to be on such a roll and where he sees himself in the future. And Mike Bailey is kind of, humble. He's like, it's great to be here, and I'm just, you know, doing my best. And he barely gets any words out when they're interrupted by Steve Macklin, and Macklin's like, "Oh, Mike Bailey's he's the golden boy of the X division now," and blah blah blah, and you know, he's like, "Oh, you're not gonna be so golden to the X division after next week when I kick your ass," and lays out a challenge for next week, and Bailey accepts, and Macklin stomps off and kind of leaves Mike Bailey and Quinn McKay like looking at each other confused, and they're just kind of like, screw that guy, he's annoying. um, Segment rating of 21. We get a promo from Moose, from his home again, not on the premises. He answers some questions about why he interfered in the number one contenders match last week. And he's like, of course, I would want to face W. Morrissey for the title. I would love to give him a title shot because Josh Alexander is a maniac, and I don't trust him to. Uh, I don't trust him. To keep his feelings in check and not take them out on me. And you'll see what he did last week. Um, he chased me out of the arena and is basically blaming Josh Alexander for just what his state of mind's been lately and not taking responsibility for anything. He's like, I'll defend the title against him if I have to, and I'll beat him. But until that time comes, I'm staying far away from the impact zone because I don't want Josh Alexander to go crazy on me. And that gets a segment rating of 36. Storyline advances. We get Savannah Evans and Masha Slamovic going to a double disqualification brawl. Basically, we got these two powerhouses um, just refusing to work against each other, and they get a rating of 7, and basically they brawl, and the ref has no choice but to throw the match out. And they don't seem to have good chemistry, which is kind of a bummer for, maybe some future matches. Um, as the two brawl, Tasha Steeles runs out and joins in, and they have a 2-on-1 on Masha until Lady Frost runs out for the save. So, kind of a role reversal from last week where Masha saved Lady Frost. Now it's Frost saving Masha. Um, Savannah improvised well, but basically everyone else did not, um, which is unfortunate. And a rating of 18. All right, we are backstage with Scott Demore and Gail Kim, and they're kind of talking amongst each other. And Scott Demore or Gail Kim is complaining about, uh, not only does she have is she dealing with the Knockouts title and trying to get Mickey James, trying to do right by Mickey James and getting her a rematch against Deonna Purrazzo, but she's also got Steve Macklin in her ear and annoying her about trying to get a X Division title shot again. And like you said last week, she's not really familiar with all this X Division stuff. And Scott Demore's like, I'd love to help you, but I'm trying to keep Josh Alexander in check, and just trying to keep him from going crazy. And even though he has a world title shot, I hate to do this, but do you think we need more help on the administrative side? And they kind of, think about it. And Josh Alexander walks up to Scott Demore and he's like, "I want to talk to you." And he's like, "Okay, good. Gail, I know you have the things to attend to. I'll talk to you later. Me and Josh have um our own discussion to have." And Josh is like, Scott, or well, first Scott congratulates Josh. He's like, finally, you got what you wanted. You're number one contender for the Impact World Title. You get to face Moose. Congratulations. I knew you could do it. And Josh is kind of like, yeah, I know. Whatever. Listen, before we have, before I get my match, I want Moose face to face in the ring. Scott's like, no, no, no. I know your temper. You're gonna lay him out. You're gonna go crazy. And Scott's like, and Moose says he refuses to show up until the title match. And Josh is like, I know. I got what I wanted. I have the title match um, locked down. I'm the number one contender. I can keep my emotions in check, and if it means that much to you, if you could, I just have things I want to say face to face, man to man to Moose next week, and if it means that much to you, if I go crazy, as you put it, and lay hands on Moose next week, you can throw the match out. And Scott's like, do you mean this? And Josh's like, absolutely. I got something important I have to tell him next week, and I want to do it face to face. And Scott's like, I'll do what I can, but you know, if it means that much to you, you got it. I'll get Moose here next week. You can talk to him, but just don't do anything you're gonna regret, okay? And Josh's like, okay. So they go their separate ways, and Scott's kind of exasperated with the whole situation. Segment rating of 28. Then Gail Kim walks out to the ring and announces that we will get the title match for the Knockouts Championship between Deonna Purrazzo will defend against Mickey James at No Surrender. But just to make sure we don't get a repeat of what happened at Hard to Kill, we are putting them or these two women in a cage. Steel cage match. It'd be contested under no escape rules, just pinfall or submission, no interference, just two women one on one. Winner takes all. So all three titles that Deonna Purrazzo holds right now will be on the line. And she wants to be sure that after this match, this is it. Whoever wins, they win everything. Winner takes all. There's nothing left, and they have to go their separate ways. This cannot happen. This cannot go on any longer, and she's had to pull major strings to get Mickey this rematch. So she announces that segment rate of 26. Don't know why Scott Demore is not a good road agent. Um, I've been selective with my road agent selections. I've not booked our Robert Evans as much, so I think mostly I've been doing Jimmy Jacobs, Rhino, Gail Kim, or Madison Rain involving female angles and stuff like that. But it just seems like Scott Demore and Robert Evans are the ones that pop up and kind of drag the show down. Matt Cardona versus Jonathan Gresham for the Ring of Honor Championship. Um, Gresham wins in even though he goes in the champ, this was somewhat of an upset. Considering Matt Cardona is bigger, maybe more experienced, at least in big time situations like this. But the technical expertise gets the better of Matt Cardona, and he is forced to tap out with an octopus hold after 10 minutes. Matt Cardona was really off his game for some reason. Segment rating of 31. After the match, Gresham celebrates with his Ring of Honor World title, and he extends the hand to Matt Cardona as a show of respect. And Cardona just kind of sighing, kind of disappointed with himself. He goes to accept the hand, but at the last second pulls it away, flips Gresham off right in the face, and storms out of the ring. So, segment rating of 35. We actually, like, I know I mentioned his contract was up at the end of January, and this is week 4, but I think we actually have another Impact available for him. So, we will see what happens, but um, yeah, is this the last we see of Matt Cardona? We don't, we don't have the announcers put that over, but we know because we've been talking about Matt Cardona's contract issues. So, but yeah, the announcers are like, "Oh, this is very unbecoming behavior of, Matt Cardona." But, we'll see what happens. And in the main event, Eddie Edwards defeated Joe Doering with a segment rating of 38. Wanted this to have just like a hard hitting, not like a hardcore match, but like a brawl, like a technical brawl, I guess. Um, Wonder why Joe Doring's ring performance is so low, but Eddie Edwards had a ring performance of 50, which is good. Overall segment rating of 38, and this means that Eddie Edwards, basically, he ran through the Violence by Design gauntlet. There's no Eric Young to, wrestle. He's out. So, he gets the tag team title shot with a partner of his choosing against the Good Brothers. And we see at the end of the match, Eddie Edwards is exasperated. He's basically kneeling down in the middle of the ring, just breathing heavy, and the Good Brothers come out. And they're kind of applauding him, but also like mockingly applauding him, surrounding the ring. Eventually, they step into the ring, one on each side of Eddie Edwards, and they stop applauding him and pick him up and lay him out with a magic killer. So, the storyline is advanced, segment rating of 43. Uh, I haven't mentioned the storyline ratings much before, but this is apparently the only hot storyline we have um, right now. Others are getting close. I guess hot is has to have a rating of 35 or more, and there are some that are about 34. So some of them are getting closer. Some of them might be hot after tonight, but Eddie versus the Good Brothers is kind of like our top angle right now. So we'll finish our show. Overall rating of 34. Lost popularity in 2 regions. Increased popularity in 31 regions. Not enough interesting storylines going on. Hopefully we will get more. But yeah, we are on the way to No Surrender, and we have some matches announced. Like I mentioned, we have the steel cage match between Deanna Prazo and uh, Mickey James for all of Deanna's titles. Uh, we have um, Josh Alexander versus Moose on the way, but we will see what Josh has to say to Moose next week, and if anything happens. We have Eddie Edwards earning a shot against the Good Brothers, and we will see who his tag team partner is soon. And even though not official, we are building towards Trey Miguel and Chris Sabin for the X title. So, again, this is week 4 in January. Don't know how I'm gonna do the next video, if there's any major month end shenanigans that um go on between the transition of months. So, yeah, we still got a few more shows till No Surrender. And yeah, I should probably stop talking now. Better 34, so hopefully our broadcasters are happy, and we will see you in February. Good night.